Happy Thursday, Miles. Big's idea.
Happy Thursday to you.
You like I did the green ambiance to go with the green today?
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Just for me. Just so we match.
I'd like to think I did it on purpose, but I just ran out of time and I'm like, I'm leaving it. Hey, so listen, everybody, if you're just joining us, we have a great show today. We have Kristin Swarcheck on, who is going to be a lot of fun. We had the chance to talk prior to the show, and I am telling you guys, you're in for a big surprise because we are going to talk all about, I guess it's executive coaching with C-suite clients, and we're going to learn a little bit about the ins and outs of that, but we're also going to learn about Kristin and how she is managing social media and the things that she is also doing and what the value is here on increasing influence. So, Miles, what do you think about that?
I'm excited. This is right up my alley.
I love it. I love it. All right, everybody, let me do my little intro that I like to do real quick with Mr. Miles there. At Dave Cooper, we are bringing you the people and the processes that are building it and doing it better. Our guests and topics include experts in building systems, building science, building codes, to the tech to use to build it better, and the influencers that are showing us how to reach new audiences, and that's what we're going to do today. Miles, why don't you do this introduction, and let's bring Kristin into the show.
Sure. So I'll give everybody the backstory first of how Kristin got to be on the show. So I've been following her on LinkedIn for a little bit, and she posted something with Dave's favorite catchphrase, "Do it scared." And I tagged Dave up in the post, had a little back and forth in the comments with Kristin, and here we are. So this is social networking at its finance. There's no money. At its finest. I can't talk. You're rubbing off me, Dave. I can't talk today either.
I got you all messed up. That's all right.
All messed up. At its finest, where we're taking the online conversations into an actual conversation, which is really exciting. So, Kristin, welcome. Thanks for agreeing to talk to a couple of strange guys you never met before who are just commenting on your stuff.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. But Miles is absolutely right. Again, this is all about how do we increase our influence. Kristin, we would not have known you if Miles didn't see your post and start seeing what you're writing about and use the tagline that I like to use all the time, "Do it scared." Yeah. And now all of a sudden we're having a talk here live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Because you know why we're on Twitch, Miles? Because that's where all the young people are at, and we need them in our industry.
True.
We need them to know what's going on. So I'm hanging out with all the gamers.
There you go.
They haven't commented much, but I'm hanging out with them. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, Kristin, I'm going to kick this off like we do every show, and I am going to ask you to tell us everything about you from the moment you were born. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital. We want to know everything that your mother went through.
Yes.
Within reason, till this very moment in time, and you have 3 minutes to do it. You think you can do that?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Perfect. Go for it. You're up.
Wow. I was just your average everyday kid, I think, growing up, really happy. But at the same time, from a very young age, I did recognize that there was some inconsistency between who I was showing up as and what I really desired. And I think it's just beautiful how I recognized it started so early, because that's the work that I'm doing today, to help people peel back that onion. So, you know, as a young child, I was very into sports and had lots of friends, and I got great grades, and I went on to do, you know, a lot of that throughout college and achieved great things. But, you know, in the end, I wasn't fulfilled. And so life showed me that I needed to do things differently. And I really do believe that there's no accidents, there's no mistakes in what we go through in life. And I say that recognizing that there's some really difficult things that we go through. I ended up losing both my mother and father, and they were my best friends. So it took a lot for me to understand that that was part of what I feel we're all contracting with ourselves when we come into this world to play out an experience. And that was their experience. And my experience was to be raised to things that I went through in my life. And so, there's so much to share, but I definitely went through a lot of hard times. And through that, I was able to come into being the woman that I am today. And I'm still evolving and I'm still growing. And I look forward to seeing what the future brings. It's always an adventure.
It is an adventure. I love when you say a contract with myself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a big, right? Because you do, like, you have to set goals and everything else. Like, what are you going to do? And I'm assuming that's what you mean by having a contract with yourself. Live and hold yourself accountable, just like you would if you're doing a business deal almost.
I do. I mean that, but I also believe that we come into this world to play out a contract that we committed to even before we came into this bodysuit that we're wearing. So it's even bigger than that. Carolyn Mace is someone that talks about sacred contracts, and that has helped me to move through some of the most difficult things in my life. And even to help raise my children who are going through different things in their own journey. I really, I think we could explore a lot on that topic alone, but it's definitely reassuring to know there's always a bigger plan.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Miles.
I think a big part of your journey is probably all these letters after your name. I think I know what some of them mean, but not all of them. So why don't we start there? What is all of that, and how does that pertain to what you're doing now?
Yeah, thanks. Masters of Education is the first one. So that, is definitely part of my journey to becoming a consultant and an entrepreneur. And CPC is the Certified Professional Coach. And then ELI is Energy Leadership Index Master Practitioner. So this is really fun. Energy leadership actually is an assessment that I have a lot of my executives take, and it shows you on a scale of 7 different energy levels where you're showing up. And so you may be at a level where you're playing out victimhood in your life, which is a very low level, whereas a level 5 is more like a win-win and a whole different perspective. So it's a great model for moving through some of the coaching that I do.
Yeah. So energy leadership. I've never heard of that. I heard about energy efficiency. I heard about reducing the carbon footprint, but I have not heard of energy leadership. So, this is one of the things, and I think I'm going to jump into this a little bit. When you're working with C-suite clients, we all perceive how successful they are, right? Perception is reality to most. But this is part of that energy leadership approach that you take with them. Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
Can you walk us down this journey on what it is to work with you and why people choose to work with you?
Sure, I'd love to. Well, we all are energy. We don't realize that, but energy is everything. And so we read ourselves as multidimensional beings. We are spirit in a human form. And so a lot of the work that I do is pretty spiritual. A lot of the times they don't even know, my clients don't even know how much we're getting into the spiritual side of things, but it absolutely resonates because it's what we are. And so as I was sharing with this model, it's a great way to make it more tactical. And we can, it's a very lengthy assessment, and it has a full report that they get to look at. And it really does change everything because you're able to see on this circular diagram where you are showing up. And so how are you presenting yourself in every situation? And I think a lot of it comes back to fear. What we were talking about eventually, do it scared. We definitely move to the outer parts of that circle as we're willing to do that most terrifying thing. And that's where we really get into the growth. So it offers a great way to have a baseline in the beginning and then to assess their growth throughout the coaching that we have together.
Wow. So, all right, this is where I really want to have some fun with this. Here I am. I'm not Miles Biggs, but I'm successful. I'm not C-suite successful, but I feel pretty confident about what I do. And I say, all right, Kristin, I'm confident what I do on the outside, but on the inside, man, I am stressed out. I lost all my hair. I got a million things going on. I cannot seem to find the time to just enjoy what's happening around me in my life, because it's always about the next person we're interviewing. It's always about the next show. It's always about the next video we have to put out there, or the next event, or my camera gear is going to break on me, or the internet's going to shut down.
Yes.
Can you help me? Because I need it.
Absolutely. And, it's really that journey from thinking about what you just said. A lot of it is doing tasks, things you have to do. And the world raises us to think we have to do life a certain way. And what does it mean to be successful? We don't really think about that. We just go on the, journey of being successful, right? But it's all these check the boxes. And a lot of times what I think I do is I allow myself to have, or allow my clients to have permission to let go of some of those checklist items, and to really move from the head to the heart and step into what feels better for me right now. It may not, and it could look like a very lazy day where I'm not doing anything. Maybe I'm taking a walk out in nature, but boy, do I feel good. And I think a lot of the work comes down to holding a container for them where they are able to validate that that's enough, and let go, the letting go of all these things that are part of our programming, and peeling that away.
How do you find that holds up in corporate America when you're dealing with the C-suite, and the focus is on quarterly earnings and the shareholders, and being lazy and doing what feels good to you isn't always an option that day, right? They have that role they have to play. I love your phrase you were saying, how you show up. They have to show up as the CEO, not necessarily as Miles and what's going to make me feel good. So how do you bridge that gap?
A great question, Miles. And that's often the case, right? We're being tasked with things that not only are our own responsibilities, but a lot of people are depending on us for hitting those targets. And where we blow that out of the water is when we involve our intuition. These things, the feelings, intuition, they're higher level consciousness forms that we often don't involve, but they're actually what make us tap into our infinite capabilities. And so it's really being that leader. As a leader, it requires that you stand and do things while other people are sitting, while other people are afraid to make a move. A leader is someone that people respect for doing the hard thing, right? So it may be that leader who has a difficult conversation with someone else if they feel something different must be, achieved. And that requires them moving outside of the normal confines of the way they do business. So it is that terrifying thing. It's doing that terrifying thing if it feels authentic to you. So it must really feel like it's part of your values. And so some of the early things that we do together are, what are your real values? What are your true values? Because a lot of times we find they're borrowed. They're our parents' values, they're society's values, but they're not ours. So we can't even get clear on who we are until we do some of that work.
So does it make them more successful and help them be more focused?
Yeah. And, it doesn't mean that they're going to move up the ranks in that company always. It may mean that they leave the company and they go on and do something they never could have dreamed of doing before. There's no right or wrong answer. Mm-hmm. But if you feel absolutely fulfilled and you feel alive, then you're on your path. And so, it changes everything. It gives people so many more years to their life because they're not stressed anymore.
I need that.
It's really letting go of the suffering. We suffer when we uphold standards that aren't our own.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are they stressed about things that they want to be stressed about, not things that they have to be stressed about? Dave, I think you and I are both really good examples of this, right? When we met, stressed, yeah. I just buzzed my head short, so you can't see me losing it. But when we met, Dave, we both had different jobs than what we're doing right now, right? We were both in a different spot and doing what we're doing right now on the side. And now we both moved into something that feels, I think, more authentic to what Kristin's saying, to what we felt like we wanted to do. What's going to make us happy than what we were doing. We were successful in those other things. I know if you got the reaction I got, Dave, people thought we were crazy for leaving, right? Because they just see one thing and not, they can't see. Conversations. I think Dave and I are perfect examples of everything you're saying, Kristin.
Great.
Yeah, really. I mean, even with the road trip coming up that we're doing, and everything, it's a big leap. We've sold everything, not everything, but we're packing up the house. We're gonna be living on the road for the next 7 months to a year. Not just myself, but the entire family is going. We're all homeschooled, with COVID, my kids, and and we got 2 12-year-olds and a 4-year-old.
Oh my goodness.
So we said, and we've been talking about doing the road journey where we're out bringing what's happening in our specific industry to everybody. And let's showcase that, because we're going to do it live, just like we do here. But we do live on location, Kristin, from in the field at house, raisings, or at, corporate buildings, manufacturing. So we're walking through just like you're watching live television.
Great.
But again, it's scary when you think about it, because I'm packing this big, 18-wheeler in front of our house right now. And I'm going, I don't really have a house to take that to. It's going to a storage, so there is some of that letting go, but I think the journey is going to be well worth everything that we're doing,
Absolutely. And more, and the experience you're creating for your family.
Yeah.
These are the things that are life-changing, and we're moving through a pandemic. Whoever knew, a year ago, this would be what we're living right now.
Right.
And it's all a paradigm shift, because this may not even have been what you were able to do. It's given you the opportunity to say, what, the kids are getting homeschooled anyway, for families out there that maybe weren't. And we can we could live wherever we want. Dreams can come alive. And again, when you think about it, we're doing it more easily with the pandemic, but you could do that without the pandemic. You can say, I'm giving myself permission for that today.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're right. And the hardest part, I don't think, is like for Miles or myself to jump into something, but now it made it easier because we don't have to take the kids away from, they play hockey. That's shut down. You don't have to take them out of the friends. They just, we've been here for 6 years in this location. They're making friends. Some of these decisions became easier because of COVID to do stuff like this. So we're really, so it's exciting, but I think that's the shell Miles was talking about. Right. And it's the same with Miles, and I guess you really hit a chord. You still say that? You really hit a chord with us, because Miles is the same way. He went out. I remember he had to do his TED Talk. He was stressed, but he did it. But he did it, and he wrote his book and the podcast, between working 9 to 5 as well. These are all side hustles.
Absolutely. It's awesome. You guys are doing it. And, think about those things we do when it's terrifying. Of course, our heart is beating, we're moving through it, but throughout it all, we're feeling more alive.
Yeah.
And when you can look back, I think what's so great about doing things in fear is that you look back with a new level of appreciation for yourself. And it's a journey of loving yourself in a way that you weren't capable of doing before.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you can't love yourself, who can you love? Isn't that what they say?
So true. So true. But it's not something we learn. We think, so many people think you have to find the person, but it's all of this is an inner journey. Yeah.
What do you think, Miles? I see you ready to say something.
Yeah, well, for examples, I think so much of it is looking for the reasons why it's going to work, or the reasons why you should do it, instead of the reasons why you can't do it. Like when you were saying, Dave, the kids have hockey or they have friends, those are all reasons why you can't get in the RV. It's not a reason why you should or that you can, right? I think we look for those easy routes out, or something to support the safe option versus the scary thing. which is actually the things we should do if we want to grow and get better. If it's not scary, it means you've been there before, right? So you want to do the thing you haven't done yet so that you can be the someone you haven't been before and get better.
Yes. Yeah, and a lot of times I explain that with my clients as these different realms we live in. That's the realm of predictability, right? So we're used to living in, like, we predict the future from the past, and it's crazy how our mind just naturally does that. And we expect conditions in the future that, nothing's going to repeat itself, but we expect that. So as we begin to move into a realm of possibility, which is what we're in now, wow, I'm not having to go into the office. The kids don't have their regular activities. We could go wherever we want, and you start dreaming again, right? Then, even greater than that, you start to move into the realm of potentiality. That's where miracles can happen. That is where there is no limit. You can go out there and achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. These are just the different worlds we play in, and how fun to play in the realm of possibility and especially of potentiality.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, it is, right? I think stepping outside of your shell is where it's at. I wasn't always comfortable doing video, but I became more comfortable after I did. That's part of the journey. Right when I started, my palms were sweaty. I was breathing heavy. I just did not want to hit that go live button, But now it's just like 5 minutes for, okay, let's go. We can do it. And I think that's where you get comfortable, but that's where you have to get uncomfortable again to keep growing, which is great. So Kristin, I'm going to jump off here in just a few minutes because I got some things. Miles is going to continue the show, but I wanted to say hi to a few people real quick. We got Dr. Brett Musson in the audience. What's happening, Dr. Musson? We got good old Joel Hutchins from Sydney, Australia. What's happening, Joel? Gotta love it when Joel chimes in. Hey, look, we're all the way in Arizona too with good morning from Surefoot Foundations in rainy Phoenix, Arizona. Is it raining? George, is it hot today? He hasn't been saying hot. I think it's cold out there now.
Yeah. Wow. It used to be sunny Arizona, hot Arizona. Now it's rainy
Arizona. Yeah. Well, if you're just joining us, we are live on 3 locations plus one that I'm trying, Twitch with all the young folks. So LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So please hit that like button right now. Share this. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. It helps us grow what we are doing. And if you are not following Kristin and Miles, also follow them on LinkedIn. Listen to all the things that they're doing. And I think this is a good place to jump into. Kristin, how has social media, that's what a lot of people tune in. You're very active on social media. You're very active in putting yourself out there. I mean, why? You're successful. You have clients. You're making it happen. What's going on? Why? Everybody asks us that. Why?
Why? Well, again, I think what I challenge myself on social media to do is to tell the stories I don't want to tell. The things that, maybe people would be like, wow, that's really true about her. And, it's an opportunity for us to walk the talk and show people, the growth we've been able to achieve by being vulnerable and doing the hard thing. And so every day I start my day with a post, usually on LinkedIn. And I just, whatever it is that inspires me upon waking up is what I post about. And I do it from a heartfelt space. The energy behind the posting is key. I've played with that a lot. And you can't make a post on social media because you feel, I've got to make a post today. No, that's a day you skip if you're not feeling in the vibe of it. You absolutely want to post when your energy is aligned. It's all about the alignment. And so I just enjoy it so much. It's my opportunity to make a difference in someone's life every day.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true, right? I mean, Miles, that's something that you talk about all the time, with your unseen work book that's the name of his book too, Unseen Work, but it's, and I asked Miles that, well, how has it changed your life interviewing all these people and doing things and putting yourself out there? And you said something similar, Miles. It's, you're telling other people's stories, so it's impacting their lives.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a good reframing exercise too. You're not posting on social media because you have to. You're posting because what you're saying can have a positive effect for someone else.
Yeah.
And so it goes from the transactional, like I just got to get this done, to that servant leadership mentality that it's about those other people. It's not about you. And it's to me, I found that to be a very important shift, because I get tired of talking about me, first of all. Right?
It's true.
On me
I get tired of you talking about you too.
Yeah. But so it changes it then. It's not necessarily you bragging. It's you showing that something's possible, or what you learn from something, or, other people can hopefully take action off of that post that you make.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. All right, folks, I got to jump out of this call because I'm in the middle of a big move, but you guys are going to continue along this journey. Miles is going to take it from here. First, though, I did want to say hi. We had Hami Milan jump in. Hey, Hami, how are you? Terrific discussion this afternoon. Gotta love Hami from Sukup America. You know Sukup, Miles?
No.
Sukup, they do all kinds of manufacturing equipment, like and consulting, where they're doing like scissor tables for manufacturing facilities and storage panel facilities, and they have window company. They're a pretty big company. So I met Hami at IWBC in Boston a few years ago. And this is a you can tell, look at him. He's a young guy, and he's killing it in this world. He's putting in the effort. So I always like to give him a shout out when he hops on here. So isn't it cool? All right, Hami, good to see you, buddy. Thank you. All right, I gotta fly. Kristin, we are gonna have some follow-up conversations for sure.
Wonderful. I'm so excited for you, Dave.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear.
I know. Well, listen, come on our journey. We're going to be live 6 days a week from the RV everywhere.
Absolutely. I'll be following.
I don't have the family convinced yet, but I think the family and the kids should do their own live show talking about their experiences everywhere they're at. Wouldn't that be fun?
Absolutely. Kids are so great at it too.
Yeah.
This is your book, by the way, Dave.
This is my book.
This is your book. This road trip is your book. So keep a journal and that'll become your book.
I would agree.
It's funny. Everybody says I should write down 1 or 2 things from every show that really hit me. And it's funny, but I have every show recorded.
That's true.
I just transcribe them.
That's how I
find any reason not to write.
Podcast episodes for me. So yeah, that's how.
Yeah. Well, listen, Kristin, I appreciate everything that you're doing. Keep doing it scared. I look forward to learning from you and the things that you're doing. And I'm hoping that we can take some of the lessons that you're talking to us about today on our own personal journey as we do this trip and this road show with everybody and our sponsors. And I know Miles will keep me in line.
That's right.
Thank you so
all right,
much
everybody, listen, please hit that.
me.
Yeah, you're so welcome. You are so welcome. All right. You're welcome, Hami. Thank you so much. All right. Listen, Miles, have fun. Kristin, have fun. I'll see you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
Dave. All right. Now, who's got dirt on Dave in the comments? He's gone.
Hey, I haven't left yet. I haven't left yet. All right. We'll see you guys. Bye.
Bye.
This is fun, Kristin. This is like the first Dave Cooper Live takeover.
Yeah, awesome.
We gotta show him we'll be respectful and let us do it again.
There you go.
So we joke about Dave's book, and that's something we've flirted about with you. Why don't we get into that? What is your book about? How does it relate to everything that we've been talking about so far?
Yeah, my book is called Crashing into Grace, and it's about my personal story that took me. Brene Brown says face down in the arena. I love that saying because I think it was Roosevelt actually who coined that statement. But these rock bottom moments. My life took me to a place where I actually had a DUI. I was driving home from my neighbor who was about a quarter mile from my house, and I got a DUI. And we were I was there with 2 of my kids. This was 5-6 years ago, and it was devastating. I actually had to go to jail because I had this happen with kids in the car.
Wow.
And a quarter mile, and I thought I was fine, but this was again something that I feel was pivotal to my life, to my wake up call. And it shifted everything. I had to learn how to validate myself at a time where I felt immense shame. And it was a time where my false self, everything that I had worked my entire life to become, I felt like it dissolved. It just absolutely dissolved at the seam. And I had to find out, who am I? Why did I even let this happen? And all of those things that you say to yourself when you're feeling that way. And I had just lost my mom, and my dad was in bad health, and the people I normally would go to for that validation just weren't available to me.
Yeah.
So it was all the inner work for me to say, girl, you've got 3 kids to raise. You've got some changes you want to make to your life, and you have to find a way to love yourself enough to do it. And that began, this chapter of my life.
Yeah, I'm sure that's an example of one of those stories you share on social media, and people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe she's telling me that she got a DUI," right? Because normally people they hide that part, right? And you're leading into it.
They do. And I think, isn't it true when people share things like that, it inspires other people to maybe let go of something that's causing them suffering?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the greatest gifts that we can give people, is just to surrender some of that.
Yeah, it's funny. I started my TED Talk and my book in the same way, and it was both painting the scene of my moment where I guess crashed into grace, right? Where I had that wake up call, where it was the day. I remember the day I had to take my first antidepressant to battle anxiety and panic attacks, and I'm thinking to myself, as I'm taking the pill, like, how the hell did I get here? Why is it to my point with my life that I need now this medication just to get through my day, right? And it was like I just started making all these like changes real quick, because it's just like, I don't know, just a switch flipped. And so it sounds like that was your moment, right? Where the switch flipped and you're like, okay, this isn't good. I don't like this. We have to get better. And then the process started.
Absolutely.
So
it's the gift in the mess,
Yeah. So for me, I know I read a lot. I'm a big reader, audiobooks, reading. When I was going through that process of self-discovery to figure out what does the new me look like, before I ended up writing my own version of that in my book. So you've written a book, sounds like very similar, and this is your story. What resources did you use in your journey that, if people are watching this, are at a similar spot and they're not quite sure where to start, besides your book, what are some other resources they can go check out that you found to be helpful?
Great question. For me, a lot of it started when my mom passed away. I had another moment of awakening where I watched her spirit leave her body. And in the moment that she transitioned, I felt a little taste of what she experienced. And talk about waking you up. I was like, why am I feeling so at peace when I just lost the woman that meant everything to me, right? So I had to go find those answers. And so I started to read a lot about Wayne Dyer's a fabulous author. He's taught me a lot about just this journey to realizing that we're so much more than we realize. And then I also got into yoga. It was really a way for me to align. We have chakras or energy centers in our body. It would allow all of that energy, anything that causes anxiety, to, it's usually a block within our body in one of our energy centers. And so that was a physical practice that was so much more than what people realize yoga is. It's not about just flexibility and things like that. So those were really big. And as I immersed myself in different teachings, I went to be certified as a yoga teacher, and I started meeting all of these new people that just kept pointing to different things that would be helpful on the journey. And you just follow the breadcrumbs. For everyone, you're going to have different levels of what interests you. But I really got into the spirituality of things. And all of the just opportunities to challenge myself to grow, whatever that is. A lot of courses that I've taken over the years, and just trusting the inner call.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it sounds like you and I are alike, where you didn't just go and take a yoga class. You're like, I'm going to become a yoga teacher. I find that I do that
after my name.
I just make this big leap from I'm going to consume this to I'm going to create this, right? And do you find that if you're like me, you probably find that you get more out of either leading somebody else through it or like writing my own book. I got more out of that process than reading any book. Is that part of what works for you too?
Yes. And my journey of writing the book was well over 5 years. And the beauty was, in the end, I had a book to share with the world, but the process through the writing took me to, I think what we're here to teach in the world, we have to learn first. And so whenever we're doing a work of art like that, or something that's just, got so much meaning behind it, we take ourselves on an inner journey. We don't know what that's going to look like, but there was so much more to just writing that book. It took me on a path that, was so pivotal for me. So just trusting the process. If you feel called to get a certification, to go on a trip even, like Dave's doing, whatever it may be, if you're getting that inner call to do something, follow it and know that the results will come in many ways.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I find, though, I agree with this because I'm open to it. I interact with a lot of people that aren't open to it. This is all kind of woo-woo to people, right? This whole spirituality and yoga and meditation. We're sort of like we said earlier about how we're borrowing values. I think we borrow these opinions as well of what's cool or not cool, or what's masculine or not for an executive to say he meditates, or I'm a guy and I do yoga, right? What do you say to the naysayers out there or potential clients? There's these high-powered people and you're talking to them about putting on yoga pants, right? And they're not quite sure where this is coming from. How do you help people overcome some of those misconceptions with all of this? It's not woo-woo, or, it actually works.
It's such a great question, Miles. In coaching, some of the best coaches out there will just ask a series of open-ended, curious questions. And what's different about coaching than mentoring someone is it's the person that has the aha moment. You're not telling them what to do. And so just by asking those questions, like, why is it that you feel that way about yoga? What is it that's creating that limiting belief? Essentially, I wouldn't say the limiting belief, labeling it that, right. But anytime someone has an opinion about something that's strong, there's a lot of ammunition that's been built up over time. And when you start to unravel that, that's where you come back to who you really are. And so a lot of this is just bringing people to a neutral state of mind. And I often say, become the silent witness. When you can look at yourself as a third party and not be so emotionally invested in your story, then that allows you to make decisions that are much more mindful than maybe they would be if you're attached to something.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's so true, right? If when you have to ask an open-ended question and sort of defend your own beliefs, like, here's why I feel that way, you answer them in a question. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're sitting there going, wait, I actually don't have a reason for why I feel this way, right? And that's when you realize I feel this way because my dad felt this way, or my grandfather felt this way, and I've been told to feel this way. Actually don't have anything to back it up, which is so funny because in business, and everyone watching here, most of it's a business audience. If somebody that worked for them in business couldn't back up a finding, or there was no data to support a business decision, you wouldn't make that business decision. But we're also quick to, put the opposite into practice in our personal lives.
Absolutely. And, we are spirit. It takes a lot for people. I think somebody recently said, if you took everyone in the world's population and just put their spirit together, it would be like a sugar cube. So all of these physical bodies on our planet, right, that we put so much emphasis in, we're actually just spirit. And so when we pass away, that spirit's everlasting. And that's not at all contained in the form that we give so much credence to. And so it's just really, a lot of this is just opening your mind to really letting go of that closed-minded paradigm that you're in and taking an adventure to see what really resonates for yourself. And like, for instance, the yoga thing, coming back to that, a lot of times maybe that is a male who was raised, I go to the gym and I work out and I lift weights and I don't go into this, woo-woo yoga class and do these things, and it's like, well, what if you were to decide, just giving yourself permission to try something new. And kids are great because kids don't have all those beliefs, and you can just openly explore with them.
Yeah, like you said earlier, just don't worry about what other people think. How does it make you feel, right? And then that's what you should pursue and move forward with. Sorry that your connection froze. So I was making sure you were still there for a second. That's why I was silent.
Yes, I'm here.
It's okay. So you got the book, you've got the coaching practice. I know that you also do some speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Dave's gone and I mess up a banner, Kristin. Instead of it being a banner like this, I got to take her going. So talk to me about speaking. How'd you get into the speaking circuit? How do you find that speaking fuels your business in other ways? Just curious about that.
Yeah, speaking just, I think it was through different client situations where they would have such a compelling transformation that they'd say, a lot of times what happens is I work with an executive and it's a personal transformation that they're looking for. But because I have the consulting background, we'll start to align their business as well. And we'll do some of that work. And then they'll realize that they're sharing a lot of the teachings in their meetings with their, team. And then it often becomes that I'm speaking at the corporation and it's just been so fun. If I could do anything, I would really dedicate my life to just going out there, traveling and speaking. It allows me to share a message to a larger audience and really, make a difference on a grand scale. And it challenges me. Like, you've been through it. It's not easy getting up on a stage in front of a lot of people and just, and I don't just talk about anything. I like to put my most challenging stories on the line. So
it was interesting for me too, doing it during the coronavirus pandemic.
mm-hmm.
I'm speaking to a room of masked people, so I couldn't see. It was like this.
Yes.
All you could see is an eyebrow raise or a wide eye. There wasn't like a smile, or I'm like hoping for a head nod out in the audience. You're like searching to give me some sort of validation while you're talking. It was interesting, but yeah, there's something about being on stage and like talking about energy, just feeling that energy, and just it forces you to be just at your best. And then when you're done speaking, someone comes up and says, "I really like this," or "that resonated with me," or it's always very validating when that happens.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you've had that journey because, it never gets old.
Yeah. Anyways, in many ways, it's like a little bit addictive. You do it once, and you're like, when do I get to do that again? Like, let's go, come on. And yeah, I agree with you. I could just travel and speak, and it's fun. And I find it forces you also any sort of content creation, writing the books like you're doing, speaking, being a coach for somebody. The amount of work you have to put into yourself in order to show up and give of yourself to others is, tenfold. Like, you have to always be working in yourself in order to help other people. So to me, it's the ultimate form of accountability. When you help others.
That is so true. That is it right there. And I think that's why for people that enjoy personal development, taking on these kinds of activities is so key, because you must embody your teachings before you go out there and become a guide or a messenger for others.
Right.
And it forces us to do the inner work all the time. And I start to then play with the law of attraction. We were talking before, getting into that world of potentiality is really, it's trusting that things are coming to you and knowing without a doubt that they're on their way to you. The sooner you accept and look forward to that, And often I share, live in gratitude, because gratitude is such a beautiful energy that really impacts the brain and our energy levels. And it allows abundance to flow to us. And it's really shifting from anything we're lacking in our life to being grateful for what we do have.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you get what you focus on, right? I was like, when you're riding a bike as a kid, if you're riding and you start looking over to the right, all of a sudden your handlebars start going over to the right. So in life, if we're focusing on all the bad stuff, all of a sudden we wake up and are surrounded by bad stuff versus focusing on the positive, being grateful, welcoming in that abundance. And yeah, but again, so many people, you start talking about abundance and you can almost see them go like this and they shut down. They're like, ooh, don't talk to me about feelings, Miles and Kristin. I don't want to talk about that. Right.
And there's no right or wrong. I'm not going to say that anyone's right or wrong. Again, it's like we have our own journey, and you put that limit on where you want to, we can certainly be in our comfort zone and have safety and whatever that for some people. And I even look at my parents, as great as their journey was in many ways, they didn't get to play out all of those things that tested their fear. And so, life is just so short, and we want to really be mindful of what we're giving ourselves the opportunity to achieve.
Yeah, totally. Well, where can I have your website up here, KristinSwarcheck.com. I'm assuming that's the best place for us to send folks at the end of this conversation. Is the book out yet? They can go buy the book now?
It is.
Cool. So where can we pick?
Yes, it's on Amazon, and
okay.
Yes, so they can find it there. It's also on my website. There's a video that gives you a little preview of it. So that's really the best place to follow me. Would be, I am on Facebook, and LinkedIn is definitely for, business folks listening to this. That's definitely where I post most of my stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here we go. Another one. He's back. Glad you're enjoying the conversation. This has been great. I've enjoyed it too. I just want to say thank you. We covered so many different topics. So hope everyone watching enjoyed it as much as I did. Go check out the book, Crashing into Grace, available on Amazon and on the website. So go support Kristin. So thank you again. Hang out here.
Thank you, Miles. It's been such a pleasure.
Yeah, I got a little outro video I'm going to play in a second, and then you and I can catch up a little bit more. But for everybody, oh, is Dave in the background freaking us out here, clicking banners still? Because I didn't hit that. But yeah, so I'm going to say this, that I'll put this Dave's roadshow thing up here. Is doing his road trip. So if you guys are watching and you want the list of places to visit, you're interested in sponsoring or getting on the road show, reach out to Dave, comment here on social media, reach out to him directly. I think we're all looking forward to watching Dave Cooper live on the road. It's going to be fun. So you guys look for that.
So great.
Kristin, thanks again. So everybody, we'll see you next Thursday here, 1 p.m. Eastern for Increasing Influence. And join Dave and Mark Bare Naked Willie tomorrow for Building Science, also at Friday. It's 1 p.m. So see you guys next time.